Welcome back to the show. This is Inside the Coverage, the Week 5 edition after the Ravens. Obviously, incredibly disappointing loss to the Texans, 44-10. I think we all knew that defensively we were in a really bad place coming into Week 5 against the Texans and then starting so many rookies. I'm not sure what anyone foresaw, what the predictions were, certainly being a home dog with the Texans coming in. I think as a 2.5-point favorite, you really kind of had an idea of how this thing could turn out. As always, welcome EA for participating in this after such a difficult week to try to analyze and even find the energy, motivation to look at the film.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. Always good just getting on here and talking with you. Pre-game, if you will, even just catching up. Yeah, discouraging, is the way to put it, I guess. I've not seen much like this from the Ravens, and
Ever.
Yeah, I don't remember just a complete breakdown and the idea that I'd rather be doing anything else.
Right.
I've got wood to cut, or anything else. At a certain point in the game, I had people just texting me like, "I'm out," and you saw that at the stadium.
Absolutely. 15,000 empty seats, I think.
Ooh, yeah, it's not a pretty picture.
I think I've been there before. I want to say it was maybe 2015 or 16. We had a really disappointing loss, I think, overseas to the Jags, maybe, and then another poor home loss, maybe 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later. And I, at that point, I checked out as a fan. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch the Ravens the entire 2017 season because I did not believe in the direction where we were going. And I also returned to coaching again that year. So that was, certainly a part of it. 2018, when Lamar gets drafted, immediately, for me, I was like re-engaged and didn't have any idea that he would do what he did in 2018. But to be here in 2025, I'm not going to, but I recognize that it's a legitimate thing for fans to have that reaction. Hey, I'm done watching this team. Mm-hmm. I can't complain because there's, a part of me, 10, 12% that would like to have the same, reaction. They don't deserve all of our attention and our energy and effort sometimes, because the product that's been out there on the field, especially defensively, has been so poor. I think the word that you and I consistently use when we talk or exchange messages is unprepared, right?
Yeah. The buck stopping with Coach Harbaugh as it regards Zach Orr's hire. To me, Orr at 32 years of age, being asked to be the defensive coordinator of an NFL team when he'd never called plays before, is too big an order. And that falls on Harbaugh. There's just no way. And there's no reason to rule out Orr 10 years from now or 5 years from now being ready to fulfill this role. Perhaps this is a training ground for him to really hit the ground running 5 years from now with some other team, let's say. But I'm not sure. There's just too much to fix. There's too many sectional things that happen that are off. And you have to break them down into sections and work on that section. I'm not sure he knows which way to turn to make the music sound good, if you will. It's just there's just too much going on at one time, and I think he's swimming overwhelmed by it right now.
Absolutely, and that's not a personal knock or criticism. For all reports, sounds like a great guy and has had a great story, and he'll continue to coach regardless of how 2025 finishes for him. He'll get an opportunity somewhere. Could be at the college level, could be at pro level, wherever. I will tell you from personal experience that one of the sayings that we were given when the best coach that I've ever been able to be around, that I've ever on a day-to-day basis been able to be exposed to and pay attention to and watch his progression. He was early 20s. At first-time head coach, in fact, the youngest head coach in the history of the state at that point. And I think he would tell you straight up, wasn't ready. And so there was so much going on. It was almost like, I said to you pre-show, it was almost like you were asked to juggle with one hand while running or walking forward and then trying to text with your other hand at the same time and hold a conversation with a fourth person. Just too much to focus on. And Orr needs help. That's quite obvious, right? And many Ravens fans are like, well, no, Orr needs to be gone for 2025 because they're still holding on to hope that the 2025 Ravens will be or become what everyone envisioned. And clearly they're not going to. They're not going to become this juggernaut defensively that we were sold by so many people during training camp. You would just hope for an elevation to average status in the
Right.
NFL at some point, or maybe above average.
That
If you could get to the level of the week 11 to week 18 defense from last year, you would be ecstatic. For me right now, where we are, that seems like a very realistic proposition. Unrealistic, proposition.
Yeah. And still, even if that did come to fruition, you're banking on Lamar Jackson being spectacular. Basically,
Right.
the offense will carry a mediocre defense. That's basically middle of the road defense. That's what you want to happen. And the idea of expectations, I think, is really important. I believe, it seems like to me that certainly I had expectations, and that's part of what stings a little bit. But I think Harbaugh came into this season fully expecting that the thing was going to hit the ground running. And I
Yep.
feel like he is for at least a month now, distant. There's a picture of the Ravens, and he's off in the distance, just a guy in the background.
Yeah.
And he looks exhausted to me, Coach.
That's fair. I think that's a fair criticism. I've been there, obviously nowhere near that level when the season is, when you know that you're only halfway through the season. In this case, we're really only a third of the way through the season, and things are not going well at all. If you multiply it out, continue at this ratio, then you're looking at probably one of the worst seasons ever. I think they did go 5-11 in that 2016 season, so that was quite poor. We're going to talk about our inability to prepare. And look, I get it that people are going to say, well, we had a lot of rookies on the field, and the film that you're showing is rookie breakdowns, and they're trying to address that with the new acquisitions. We'll talk about that a little bit at the end. C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Gilman, the free safety from the Chargers. But having said that, these are NFL players, and we have the entire week to work with them and prepare. In fact, they'll start their first day of practice, I think, today, right? Wednesday, in getting ready for the Rams. And what confidence level do we have that Orr and the defensive side will be able to put out an appropriate and proper look that is prepared to stop the Rams? I'm less than 10%.
I'm not sure there's a structure in place, so I don't know how a new player is supposed to come in and learn a structure within a structure that doesn't exist. I mean, how's he
Right.
supposed to learn a defense that doesn't know itself at this point?
Agreed. We're going to focus on third downs here. And as usual, what we do is we kind of alternate, and that allows both of us to get our individual plays loaded up. And so, EA, you got a 3rd and 15 that you want to display first?
I do.
Let me remove this one. We're using a StreamYard. I have access to a better option to stream this and get it done. I've been handed a huge graphical upgrade, and because of some laptop issues that I have on my end, have just been unable to implement that. So for now, there will be a little bit of a transition between showing your play and then showing mine, and it could be somewhat gaudy at times. But in any case, what is this, a 3rd and 15 from the first half? First half?
Early second half.
Okay.
3rd and 15. This is after the Ravens have scored. I believe it's 34-10. If there was any hope, all hope was not lost. This is the moment, 3rd and 15, where you think, well, shoot, they're going to make a stop here for sure, and then get the ball back. And it's early in the second half. Maybe they can pull it to 34-17. First thing you see is just lots of communication. I would even call it confusion. I think you saw this throughout the game, where everybody's sort of calling out a call. You get motion to this side. If you'll notice, these routes to the bottom of our screen right here, they're not being run with any sort of intent, not at all. And that tells me, watch how quickly the quarterback's going to look to that side and immediately hit the slant. Bam. This is the play call that they have on right away in this situation. I don't think he's thinking about anything at the bottom of our screen at all. What's curious is I find myself asking, do you want to get off the field? I mean, does this defense just want to get off the field, or do they want to be slick? Watch what happens with 95. He's going to drop, and he's going to be the hook player and come all the way across the field against off coverage. Now, The off coverage may be fine if you've got somebody else getting under that route, somebody from this side of the field. There's just no way he can't get over there quickly enough. So there's this sense that they're trying to be clever. You've got a center field here, a post guy, Starks, I guess, just way out of the play.
It's disgusting and sad to see. This is the third week in a row where you and I have talked about a play where we're dropping a defensive lineman to the X side. Which is what you're talking about when you have trips to the downside of the screen or the left side as you present it here with the end zone. And then the X receiver, I presume it's Nico Collins to the right off screen.
Yep.
And we're dropping. Remember the St. Brown conversion in the first possession of week 3? It was Brent Urban dropping to the X side. Hamilton is man on St. Brown from that off coverage. I watch the Lions defense every week, and they have less coverage talent right now, healthy, available than we do. From a corner standpoint, they have Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, and those two guys are as good as any safeties in the NFL. Kirby Joseph has 20 career interceptions. Brian Branch starts for every team in the NFL, including ours. But their corner talent is not near to what we have. You know what they do on 3rd and 15? They're in press man, and they're disruptive, and they're fight, and they get penalties sometimes. They certainly do, but they're committed to that style. Am I saying that that's what we should do all the time? No, but we continue to, in these off coverages, give up slants or what have you. In this case, it's a 3rd and 15. Do they convert this, or do they just get close?
They pick up 14, and on the very next play, 4th and 1, they pick it up. And this was the moment I turned the set off. Just because there's just no plan here. You can watch up front. We're trying to bring pressure. How about trying to get off the field? You see this goofy looking. There's a quick set right here on the outside, and there's a stunt or where he's going to pick, presumably the guard and the tackle here, and he ends up whiffing. Just everything that can go wrong with these calls does. You can see that's Van Noy. Van Noy's just kind of in no man's land, trying to pick 71 and distract the guard to get Owe around on this long loop. And again,
and we could, sometimes we would say, like, okay, so you want someone in the hook area to help out against a slant on the backside X, which is, that's what's happening here, right? Tavius Robinson has dropped. What's happening? Line someone up there.
Absolutely.
Stand him there and make them beat you with something else. We don't have leverage support at all. There's no help here. Yeah, it's Tavius Robinson dropping out, but he's from the other side of the field. Yeah, it's truly ridiculous.
And I tell you what, it occurs to me, this is a pick 6 if they actually drop somebody. This is probably an interception.
If we have someone there, yep.
He's clearly got it in his mind. That's where I'm going with the football. Bam. Gets it out right away. He doesn't even feel that pressure coming in his face right here.
No, I don't.
And just a very disturbing play.
No, I mean yours is well, you let us off with the right tone because mine's no better. I'm gonna say that we're gonna continue to do those things if we're down 34-10 and it's 3rd and 15. Sorry, I didn't mean to pull your play.
You're good.
Sorry. If we're going to do those things at 34-10, down at home in week 5, we're going to continue to do those things. We're going to continue to make those calls. There is no doubt in my mind that is a part of the Ravens system, and at times it's been successful, under other defensive coordinators, I should say. But let's see if I can get my play to load up here. It appears as if it was just a dark screen. Let me know if you can see what I've got displayed here.
I see it.
Okay, so. This is 2nd and 10 on the first possession. And this one I actually talked about in a film study video. It's a jumbo 11 personnel grouping. This is very reminiscent of what the Lions did to us in week 3. If you recall, incomplete pass on 1st and 10, or maybe a short run to create a 2nd and 9. And recall that they would go 11 or even 12 personnel, and they would run the football right at us on 2nd and 10. And to me, it's the same thing. What really bothers me is 2 things. It's I think it's Lowry here, his reaction post-snap, and then also Simpson crossing the midline to get to the other side. We definitely do miss a tackle here. I think it's Jenkins. I kind of actually think Jenkins has been playing well He's not going to get to the quarterback and rush the passer. We're definitely missing Madubuike in there. So to an extent, being able to stop the run against these 11 personnel groups, having Travis Jones and Madubuike on the field at the same time is a big part of it. But what I really, really don't like from an inside linebacker standpoint is we're crossing over the midline to the wrong side. But if that's how you're going to play it, if that's what we're doing, then this safety, that means he needs to play C-gap right now. And look what we're getting. And Kyle Hamilton does this too. This is not a Lowry thing. We're both stepping back. Both safeties are stepping back, not reading the offensive lineman at all. And Lowry actually turns and looks to Starks. They actually almost appear to be looking at each other. And then Lowry realizes, oh, okay, I've got to come downhill here. That's just shocking to me that an NFL team that would put anyone on the field, I don't care if it's your fifth string safety, and wouldn't be able to properly read or wouldn't even attempt to read this jumbo tight end. So what I'm talking about is the end man on the line of scrimmage stepping out to Kyle Van Noy, and then at the same time, the tackle stepping down to combo, the three technique Travis Jones. Trenton Simpson, look, it's wrong to me for Trenton Simpson to cross over the midline. I wouldn't teach it, but the way that Buchanan is stepping and the way that Jenkins is crossing face, so Jenkins is crossing into this gap, it really, if I had the graphical power to do this, to basically take Jenkins and move him over here right now, it would create a two-gap bubble. This gap would be open and this gap would be open, right? The way Buchanan plays it, he sets up in the B gap. It certainly kind of looks like you could argue that Trenton Simpson is going where he's supposed to go, and we don't have a safety fitting here in the C gap. I really don't care who's right and who's wrong. What I care about is that you get time all week to teach these young men, they're young to me because I'm old, how to respond to these situations, and this is basic. This right here, down combo, this right here, a base block on the 9 technique out of 11 personnel, out of your nickel, is the safety's responsibility generally to help out with C-gap, and we're getting nothing. Kyle Hamilton does the same thing sometimes, meaning he'll step and move before he gets a read, basically get depth. I'm talking about what these two guys are doing here again. It's maddening to me. Do you have anything else to add for this one? It's my third time talking about it, and I really hate it each time.
No, just echo your sentiment, and I don't know whatever happened to, let's say, Sanusi Kane. And I'm not down on Lowry here because this dude, I'm pretty sure, played outside corner in college. So he doesn't know his responsibilities. But again, it's a trickle down thing. It's like they've got guys on the field who don't understand their responsibilities or fit in this case.
It's mad. If you gave me 40 hours to teach guys to react to certain things, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
we may get beat other ways because I'm not capable of coaching at that level. It's not even close. But I'm saying some of the mistakes that we see are incredibly basic, in my opinion, and that's one of them. That one is entirely frustrating to me. I wouldn't advocate for stepping the nose across and gap exchanging with Simpson. To me, I don't think it makes sense. I want my inside linebacker. I get it. Everybody talks about, that's his gap. That's his gap. Whatever. Get to the freaking football and have multiple hats to the football. It's not about just getting to your gap. It's about swarming the offense, at the point of attack. And that's what the Houston Texans did to us when we tried to run the football. And we seem to be simultaneously frozen and overwhelmed with our responsibilities. You had another third down you wanted to talk about.
Yes.
Third and 10, third and 11.
This is a 3rd and 10. This is a touchdown play.
I know we're going to talk about coverages generally, and I just showed a run fit, but to me it was needed.
Oh yeah, that's part of it.
Sorry.
Can you see okay?
Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay, so this is a 3rd down and 10. Again, a chance to get off the field early in the game. This is, I think this is the 3rd drive. So their drives went, as I recall, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the 3rd drive. 3-by-1, kind of closed up to this side. A couple things I'll point out. I need to study it deeper, but I do not get the way we're covering three receiver sides generally. Namely, what's going on here is I've heard people call this strut. Some people call it stealer. This idea of like this safety kind of bracketing the deeper of two or three, right?
Sorry, Coach, I messed up there. I got you off screen for a second. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Did you hear what I was saying about this?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's bracketing 2 and 3. That's what it looks like to me. They end up getting sort of all these in-breaking routes. It suggests to me they kind of have an idea of this coverage,
right,
or the way the safety's playing it. Really, you get kind of like a double dig, and he could hit either of these. He makes a good choice here, I guess, because they need to score.
I feel like Wiggins is giving up leverage there when he has some help to the outside, which is a consistent theme that you and I have talked about a lot.
Yeah, I wonder. That part of this too is if we watch Starks to the other side, who I thought is consistently part of some kind of snafu, and it's hard. Yes. You can see this is just craziness here.
So it almost looks like you're saying Starks could be helping the inside leverage of Wiggins.
Could be, could be. That could explain the way that Wiggins plays it. But Starks has inexplicably, at least to my eye, kind of vacated this deep field and gone to cover the back.
So basically, like where the R is in Baltimore, or maybe the O is in Baltimore, he could be in that area, but short of it, near the goal line, such that he could help out with this route with Wiggins to inside leverage. See, when I looked at this the first time, I didn't really notice that. I focused on the leverage that Wiggins gave up, but that makes sense now because that could mean he's kind of feeding or funneling that in-breaking route to the backside safety. So I'm totally in line with what you're saying.
Yeah. And look how quickly he's down immediately. Like as soon as this back takes a stride, he's off.
Yeah. Him and Buchanan, right? Buchanan's the other guy?
Yeah, Buchanan's the other guy. So to me, I think typically you want – I would guess Buchanan is taking the back here. I don't understand it otherwise. I don't.
It makes you, and again, this to me is related to – we can make the same point that I did on the previous play. It kind of doesn't matter to me. I don't care if it's Starks' fault. I don't care if it's not to downgrade what you're saying, but I don't care if it's Wiggins' fault. Should Wiggins be on inside leverage with Collins such that I think it's Lowry is the other safety could play like let's say a post corner or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is that it's so many different players, 2 or 3 different players on multiple snaps that you could identify as an issue, and that's not on the players individually. At some point, that's on your preparation and your teaching, your instruction, getting the players to recognize things on the field so that these things don't occur in mass, because that's what's happening. They're occurring in mass.
Every play, something's going sort of way off the rails. I just don't know. I don't know if we want hands on these guys. I certainly would be concerned with 12 here. I mean,
he's a problem.
You can't let that kind of athlete loose like that. You know what I mean? Like he's got to have help. I think if you look at the Texans games earlier in this year, everybody's trying to get some kind of switch coverage, bracket coverage on that dude on 12.
And so we're trying to with the safety, but Starks is wrong, possibly.
Yeah.
Show the end zone. Do you have the end zone?
Yep. I think the end zone pictures used to be kind of more broad. Do you notice that?
Oh, I think the camera work this year for the NFL is terrible. It looks automated to me, and I think it's horrible.
Yeah, you really can't see much. Let's see.
Starks is going off screen with Buchanan and the running back, and there it is.
Yeah, and look at what the quarterback sees, just nothing. Right.
So you think Wiggins is kind of anticipating that Starks would be there, and really, if Starks is where we think Wiggins is relying on him to be, then that throw really doesn't occur. Stroud doesn't even throw that ball. He probably throws it to the underneath in-breaking route, right?
I don't know why else Wiggins would play outside if he has this safety. Do you know?
Exactly, yeah.
I wouldn't put anything past anybody at this point, but.
I agree, man, and that sounds horrible to say, and it sounds ridiculous coming from two guys who will never and have never been anywhere near that level. But we have eyes and we can see that there's two guys on the running back that we don't need. We don't need both of them there.
Yeah.
I'm totally in line with you. I've got another one that's a third down also, and it's obviously quite negative. So give me one moment. I'll try to load this up. I've only got one screen today.
Okay.
So I'm relying on you a little bit to let me know if it is actually showing up. I know it's not right now, so.
Gotcha. It's on there.
Okay. I usually have two screens. I've had some real technical difficulties with my laptop. I'm operating on a second laptop that's kind of ghetto. So I'm just glad that we can get this done. And if it's poor production on you guys' end as the viewer or the listener, please let me know in the comment section. I'm doing the best I can here to be direct. First possession, 3rd and 2. You see all these graphics on screen?
Mm-hmm. Got them.
So we've walked up the safety. Lowry, who once again is looking pre-snap, try to confirm maybe, what's going on. And we've kind of created this like 5-2 look. Essentially, if you'll allow me to count Lowry as an inside linebacker here, even though he's a safety, now we've put Simpson as an edge defender. And I know that we've, since traded Oweh. I don't think this is an Oweh issue. So what I'm talking about is this tight end's going to go across the screen. I know I just switched to the end zone angle. I'll come back to the all 22. And this is Simpson, okay? There is Lowry. So watch as the tight end comes across. Oweh tightens up, screws down into the B gap. He may be B gap responsible, but this really reminds me of the play that we spent so much time talking about last week, where Buchanan ended up on the running back in space, and Mahomes scrambled. And, remember, really created a 2-on-1.
Mm-hmm.
Buchanan had to leave the running back. I think it was Pacheco to go to Mahomes. It looks like the same dynamic to me, meaning it's a 2-on-1 out in space, because Oweh's been functionally slow this year. This is extremely poor alignment in my opinion, given the fact that we have a second receiver motioning over here. It's a tight end, but the running back is crossing Stroud's face. Theoretically, you could release the running back and the tight end out here. We need two guys to cover this. Whose fault is it? Should Buchanan be involved? I don't care. What I care about is that we're teaching these guys during the week in meeting rooms and on the field, and consistently we get outflanked, we give up leverage. I don't blame Simpson for this at all. Oweh's to the inside, so talk about him if you wish. Maybe Buchanan is on the back too heavy here. Maybe you want to blame Simpson. I blame John Harbaugh and Zach Orr. Those guys are the ones professionally paid to get these guys in position. Let's do the all 22 angle. So there's Simpson, running back, going to cross Stroud's face, and when he does, Buchanan is downhill right now. So we lose Buchanan. There's the tight end going out into the flats. C.J. Stroud, just basically keeping it. It's just so easy to outflank us on the 3rd and 2.
Coach, two things I notice here, and just tell me what you think. I wonder about Lowry, specifically taking running with that tight end. I think he's lined up in man here. I think off the ball, he's lined up in man and ought to be with the tight end. You notice from the
entirely possible
end zone view, he kind of signals to 40 to Buchanan. Oh, well, you can go take him. Watch. Once that motion happens.
Yeah.
And so there's obviously a miscommunication about what's supposed to happen there.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of them takes over the gap. Like you said, who knows?
It's 11 personnel. So there's one tight end on the field. If we're in straight man, let's say we're in straight man, here, then, we run with him. If we're in some other coverage call, then Buchanan has to know there's the opportunity for the tight end to go across. Again, I don't care where we lay the blame, personally, starting from right to left, all of those guys. It's mass production of poor defensive play, poor ability to recognize things, both pre and post snap. And to me, we don't teach pre-snap awareness. We don't teach pre-snap alignment based on the formation. And it doesn't surprise me then that post-snap, we don't have much awareness as well.
Post-snap, we are scattered. scattered, just all pell-mell, trying to find a drop, a spot to drop to, or a receiver in our zone. Or
I will tell you, there's a part of my brain that is, even still after watching this for 5 weeks, can't believe that I'm sitting here criticizing, critiquing, being overly negative about the Baltimore Ravens defense. It's historically, people have talked about our defense being physical and all these things. We are obviously not. We're not even prepared to be physical. We're not even prepared to line up and then react to reads. We're so far gone from what we have been historically on the defensive side that it annoys me to hear announcers talk about all the Ravens defense and the Ravens mentality and their structure and their culture. For these 5 games, from what I've seen, that culture, that book is closed for right now, in my opinion. That book is on the shelf, and it's something that people look at and talk about, the good old days or the way things used to be. We are very far removed from that, any style that deserves praise or deserves, really deserves this type of effort by you and me. But we're going to continue to do this no matter what. I do think that Lowry is a good football player. I trust. I would like to see Trenton Simpson on the field more. I was not a huge fan of Buchanan being drafted. I still have high reservations about his ability to execute on the NFL level consistently. Basically, I can't believe that he's a starting inside linebacker in his rookie year based on the film I saw from Cal. But having said all that, they do good things occasionally. It's just big moments, things break down. Third downs is what we end up focusing on the most. I know you got another one, but is it a third down or just a play action?
This is, I believe, 2nd and 7. Let's see.
And then I'll follow up with a play action to illustrate the difference between, our defensive reactions and then a team like the Texans. Look, the Texans came in allowing the least points in the NFL, and people were talking about them like, we're just going to blow them off the field, man. Were you crazy? The film of the Texans, they were the fastest defense that I saw on film all year.
I'm not sure this is a great example of what I was looking for, but you see just an overflow and some overreaction to any kind of outside zone action.
Looks like Buchanan's trying to settle underneath a route. I feel like I see him flip his hips a little bit. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not Buchanan, but I think it is, like in the middle of the field near the left hash.
Right, this guy?
Yeah.
See, I don't. One of the things I was looking for, and I don't know.
No, the point still stands, though, EA, because let's talk about the force player to the field. I think it's Keon Martin.
Right
Look
there.
at his depth, and this is another slant on the backside that we don't have, and it's very similar to what we talked about with Tavius Robinson getting in that window. We've got no one in that window to influence Stroud's throw at all. This is free access from a free release standpoint, number one. And number two, there is no hook or curl player to force Stroud to throw that football on either side of him or above, if that makes sense.
In other words, Coach, this is, and he's their guy. That's 12 again.
Yep.
This is the first drive, 2nd and 7. He picks up 21, and very easy 21.
Easy.
But they're kind of in this role, I think, like a perfunctory sort of call, where if you read keep by the quarterback, in other words, some sort of play action where he's dropping to throw the pass, they're going to roll into some form of cover 3. A lot of times it's fire zone, and in a perfunctory manner, they'll just say, well, to the guys up front, or to the 5th guy up front, let's say, oh, if he keeps it, just go get him. Right. And so you end up with 3 guys. This is supposed to be a drop into like a fire zone coverage where you've got all kind of space. I think that's what I mean. And there's just this sort of like machine-like quality to the way that they
react.
Robotic. That's a better way to say it. But
Buchanan's trying to get underneath, but Martin number 1 is lined up too close. And so, against the run, a theoretical run, a run to his side, Martin would be in position to be the force player and maybe shut that thing down or force the running back to cut. But against play action pass, there's zero resistance here. This is 7. Basically, this is routes on air, what I would call it. This is routes on air because we're not resisting rerouting at all. Nico Collins, number 1, and number 2, Keon Martin is nowhere near to the depth of. Is that Buchanan? And then who's the other one? Is that Simpson with his feet near the top of the 40?
This might be Lowry.
Lowry. Be. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But to your point, Tampa's at a real disadvantage. He's on his own here. He's on his own. Yeah. He can't get beat deep, and the ideal is he's got somebody taking away this. There's got to be feel for that. There's got to be feel for that, and these guys are not. They're young. But you see it over and over in this game where there's no feel for routes around them. There's easy conversions, like you said, routes on air. Because of that, they can run right off of a defender.
I don't feel like we're supported by our teammates geometrically, maybe spatially is a better word, I guess. Mm-hmm. And this, I think, is an example of it. I actually talked about this one. Do you have the end zone angle there?
Yeah.
Because I think you get an idea of the huge window. This is like a bay window, in a rich person's home. Yep. This is not a window in regular. This is a huge window between Buchanan and Martin, right?
Yeah, right in there. Yeah,
we don't. Well, I have to do this, and again, I think Ravens fans may not enjoy hearing this, but there's a coverage that the Lions played a lot against us. And they have used a ton this season, and it's 2-man, basically cover 2-man, and it's something that I've not been a huge fan of at certain points of time in my coaching career, and as well as, to be honest with you, trying to break down the game. But the way they're using it to support each other geometrically, basically Branch or Joseph, the 2 safeties, as soon as they get an in cut. They're taking that in cut. They're taking it over. And so you as the quarterback think, okay, the middle of the field is open. No, it's not. Those guys are aggressively coming downhill. That coverage could be exploited this week by the Chiefs for a lot of reasons. The Lions are now down 2 of their starting corners. DJ Reed's out for a while. I think he's on IR, and Terrion Arnold is going to be out for at least a month. But also because the Chiefs and Andy Reid, okay, it's 3rd and 6. You're going to be in 2-man. I recognize the parameters, the pre-snap indicators that make it look like 2-man. Here's my play. Boom. I can exploit that. That's entirely possible. That might happen. But it's a supported coverage and something that Kelvin Shepard and those guys are playing, in my opinion, with cover guys. Look, Rock Ya-Sin is starting at corner for them right now. He's playing well. Okay. Yeah. The other starting corner is Amik Robertson, someone who I think very highly of. I know that the rest of the football universe, has an opinion of Amik Robertson here, and mine is drastically higher. So I get it that mine is perhaps the one that's incorrect or off base. But the point is, they're playing coverages to account for the players they have on the field in a way that supports them and gives them some leverage help. Even though 2-man historically and on paper is something that can be exploited by, a mobile quarterback or certain, types of routes. They're doing a great job with it because, in my opinion, they're adjusting to the players they have on the field. And I don't think we are. I got one more play to show, and it is a play action. And then I guess if you're okay, I guess we can finish up by talking about the 2 new acquisitions and maybe what they bring to the table. Let me know when you've got my screen.
Gotcha.
Of course, this is the Texans defense, and when we're using this to talk about support and awareness of routes. Now, Buchanan on that previous snap you showed, he did turn to kind of get underneath, I think. And that's really what happens here. We're going to talk about, this is Jalen Petre who gets the interception, okay? This is going to be the interception on the ball thrown to Derrick Henry. The guy I really want to focus on from the all-22 angle is, I think it's To'o, number 39, the inside linebacker. So it's play action fake to Henry. And watch him turn. I mean, boom, now. Athletic, quick feet. From a size perspective, he almost looks like a safety. And he's getting underneath of this route from Zay Flowers on the other side. So basically got one of these, and then I think it's Bateman running a clear-out route.
Do we know the down and distance here?
I think it's 1st and 10.
Right, so a rundown.
Yep.
Yep.
That's right. That's right. And Cooper Rush is looking there, possibly. I think he's trying to get the ball to Zay on this deeper dig or crossing route, and To'o is directly underneath of it again in that window, kind of like we talked about on the previous play, and then the other one that you showed where Tavius Robinson is responsible for crossing the midline and dropping underneath the backside X, Nico Collins. And then, of course, what that does is it forces Cooper Rush to get off of that read. Now, if Cooper Rush felt like he was going to have more time, then yeah, like you've got opportunity to throw the ball deep, but that really only happens because this safety sees the ball not thrown. So sometimes people will take a snapshot and they'll say, why aren't we throwing the ball here? Well, the ball is already coming out of Cooper Rush's hands, and this safety's seeing it. So it's not like Bateman is wide open here. Really, the read is, to me, Flowers 1, possibly 2. I think it's Kolar settling in the middle, and then Henry either 2 or 3, depending on how you want to do it. I think this is a really good example of the inside linebackers getting underneath of the routes and really kind of taking away the quarterback's first read, or forcing him to beat you left-handed, if you will.
Yeah, the Ravens, but in contrast, at least what we saw last week, have I sorry to use this expression, but a very high school sort of reactiveness to play action, where they're not quite sure, they don't know how to read it, and then it's too late, and then you see them scatter and kind of run to some
totally agree
drop.
I find myself in our Ravens Discord, which it has like 88 or 90 people in there at this point, so you're going to get a wide array of reactions during the game, and during the weekend. It's fueled by anger, but also having high standards. Right. And we're not even close to the standard. We're not even in the same neighborhood as the standard that we should be held to. And I find myself constantly in the Ravens Discord saying this to statements that are negative about the Ravens, or perhaps overly critical of certain players. I find myself saying, I cannot argue against you. I cannot. There's nothing I have to argue against what you just said, which is that they have this kind of high schoolish reaction to play action, any type of play action. I cannot argue at all with that perspective and with that statement, because so far we look really unprepared. People understand this who've coached at multiple sports, but in particular football. Like if you play on Friday nights or Saturdays, you need the whole week to get ready. You need 3 or 4 days to get ready with these young men, because they've got school, they've got their own lives and things going on. So you need 3 or 4 practices. In weeks where, especially like now, like hurricane season, maybe you won't get a practice Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and you've got to go out there on one practice. You're unprepared, and it as a coach. You just understand that the other team is as unprepared as you are. The Ravens, for lack of a better way to describe this, we look like a team that the school and the field was unavailable Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And so we only got 1 day of practice, while the other team has a dome. They can practice 2 hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and their stream of preparation has not been interrupted at all, but ours has. That's the comparison that my brain can come up with based off what you just said.
Yeah, I know Van Noy in his post-game comments, paraphrasing him, said something to the effect, well, we need to know how to play football. And he emphasized the word football. There was a dynamic to the way he used that word. He understands that there's just a baseline expectation of how defense operates, how we play off of one another, that's just not being met. And to your point, I love the way you said there's a high standard. And at this point, there's not really a standard. You don't get the impression that there's an expectation being set by the coaching staff.
Agreed. I finally came to the realization after the Chiefs game. So again, discussion in our Discord, which is I spend a ton of time, quote, in there virtually, discussing things with people. Is Roquan going to play against the Texans? Is Hamilton going to play, et cetera? And I found myself forwarding the opinion, I think we should rotate guys, because to me, And I get it. Yes, you rotate a new guy in and he makes a mistake. Well, he wasn't prepared. He wasn't in on the previous series. I get all that. We're making mistakes no matter who's on the field. We talked about Kyle Lowry. It could have been, we talked about Lowry. It could have been Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton does the same thing on a couple of coverages. Step back, even though there's a run read directly in front of him. The only difference is Kyle Hamilton's got the ability to burst downhill and maybe get there and impact the play because he's such a special athlete. But there's other guys as well. Starks, you mentioned the play where him and Buchanan both go with the running back. I was more critical of Wiggins, but now looking at it and focusing on Starks, it absolutely looks like he was expecting inside leverage help. And that's to the overall point that we're making. We do not support each other on the field, and it's consistent. It's override. It's global. That to me comes from not the players. That to me comes from the coaching staff, not having them prepared for those situations in the game. And I don't know how that occurs at the NFL level with all the time and the resources that they have.
Yeah. If you're out there on the field and you don't know where the guy next to you is going to be, you're not going to really fully understand where you're going to. You get the sense they're questioning where they're supposed to be because they don't know where the other guy's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, we're bringing in two professional guys with starting level experience, C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Gilman. I forget his first name, but he's from the Chargers. He's got good film. He's got good film. He played for them last year in the game that we won against them, I think 30-23. He's on the field a lot. He's generally a middle of the field free safety type of guy.
Interesting. Which
I think Starks could do that, but I do not get the sense that I will be direct. With those two acquisitions at safety, the two best middle of the field free safety guys we have on this roster, we just picked up on Tuesday. Meaning the two best players at being in the middle of the field, reacting to the routes in man coverage, obviously. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has 18 career interceptions. We have film of him from 2024. He had 6 picks last year, 12 PDs. We don't have requisite film of Starks doing anything like that at all this season, and we've got 5 games film. What will be interesting to me is if Gilman and C.J. Gardner-Johnson show up and somehow the safety play is different. I don't have the same concerns a lot of people have, which is that they pick those guys up because Hamilton's more injured than we know. I don't have that concern right now, but I recognize that there's a lot of people. Have you heard that yet, that people think we picked up 2 safeties because Hamilton's going to be out for a while?
Yeah, I've heard that. They've been missing a third safety, and the two linebacker experiment is done, I think, in terms of being able to cover and the youth, and we're just not getting good linebacker play generally.
Not at all.
So they've been missing that third, and I think this is a pattern that goes back a ways with DaCosta. I remember in the Greg Roman era, we had so much success in 2019 with 3 tight ends, and then he ships Hayden Hurst apparently wanted out, so they ship him out. He doesn't draft a third tight end.
Yeah.
And so the offense is not the same flexible offense that it was in 2019. Yet we've got the same coordinator, and so this idea of a 3. Now we're trying to force this linebacker, I guess, nickel primary, when we had so much success with like a dime backer. And hopefully this is a little bit of a turn. I remember making comments about Starks and everybody saying, oh, he's so rangy. Well, to your point, I haven't seen it,
I didn't see it in 2024 film in college either. I'm not saying that he didn't have great film prior to that. I'm not saying that he didn't show versatility, and I like the player. Yeah. People can go back and look at my reaction to the draft this season, and I think there was a lot of comments when I said after the draft that I did not consider it a A-level draft. I think that the first 2 rounds, Starks and Green, I called that an A individually because we got 2 guys that were generally regarded as first-round talents, but overall, globally, not to what I think. It wasn't a specific draft. It almost feels like in recent seasons, once we've gotten to like round 3, definitely round 4, but round 3, we kind of are like, I don't do fantasy football, but we're kind of like auto-generating our picks and not specific to the needs that we have on this roster. And, my reaction video Sunday, I said, I think this is chickens coming home to roost as far as the offensive line goes and as far as the depth at key positions. We certainly built a lot of depth at outside corner, and now we've got 2 or 3 of those guys injured, at the same time, which is, really terrible. I think Wiggins is better than he's playing. He's the one guy that I look at here, and I think he's a better player than we're seeing on the field right now. And I think that reflects on the coaching, the preparation, the lack of specific preparation for the threat that we're facing in a given week. This is going to be super tough. Obviously, the Rams going 11 personnel. We're going to have to be in nickel and or dime, right, against their 11 personnel. And their ability to run the ball from 11 personnel is somewhat unique. So, well, any closing thoughts, EA, on this? I've been negative enough. You're the guy that's supposed to be like balanced and
Shucks. Okay.
and positive and uplift.
Well,
I'm the guy.
okay.
I get to be the bad guy here.
Here's what's going to happen. The third-round rookie that they took out of LSU, the tackle, he's going to come in and save the day at right guard. Everything's going to work out perfectly. They're going to take that money that they got from kicking away, and I think they're going to get another guard, or they're going to bring
guard, right?
Yeah, they're going to get another guard, and that's going to work out great. And the safeties they brought in, that's going to work out great too. So everything's. I think we're going to win the division and lose in the first round of the playoffs.
Did you see? Well, that's positive. I'm positive in a dual sense. There. Did you see someone's projection? I think it was Monday where the Ravens were still favored to win the AFC North, being 1-4.
Yeah.
Kind of like what world are you living in? I think it was going into the Chiefs game. Of course, Romo and Nance are utterly clueless with stuff. They're national level analysts, so they're not going to be, I don't think, intimately prepared for each team every week because they do different teams every week. So I understand that. There's a real dynamic. Maybe they deserve some consideration there, but I've got to think they're getting paid 6 figures, upwards of 6 figures, closer to 7 than it is to 5 in terms of their yearly salary, and probably more. You should be more prepared and have a better idea that this Ravens team coming into Kansas City, 2 games ago at this point, is nothing like what people thought they had in the Week 1 game against the Bills. And for them to sit there and talk about the Ravens' history and all of these things, it was like, what are you talking about? That is not this team that's on the field today in front of you. And I get it. Announcers, they want to keep fans involved or engaged when the game is, getting out of hand. At 27-10 in the third quarter, a lot of Ravens fans had already turned the game off and were, probably starting their second or third drink. And Romo and Nance are trying to keep everyone engaged or keep everyone involved and committed to staying on air. It's going to be tough, I think, for the Ravens to stick with this game this week with the Rams. So, well, thanks for, always joining me on this. I know that this morning was a little bit haphazard. My technical difficulties at some point will hopefully get solved. Just been trying to piece it together in terms of my technology function. But if anything here in terms of the presentation was negative or untoward for you guys on the back end or on your end as a listener or a viewer, it's entirely my fault, not EA's.
No, I appreciate you, Coach, man. Like I said, I just like getting a chance to talk with you, talk football. And it's a good thing.
I think you and I have already talked about this, but I'll let the listeners know we're a long way away, hopefully, from the end of the season. We hope to go on a run here at some point and generate some wins. But I have begun compiling plays for a season long inside the coverage look. Once we get to the off season, with coverage looks that was really with data, that was really our goal for this each week, but it's entirely unrealistic now for me to find time to compile all of the data that we wish we were able to present. So this has kind of turned into a direction that we didn't intend, basically being more film than data that's being presented for you guys. The original plan by me and NEA, I think as well, was to give you guys data where are we playing certain coverages, which part of the field, at this point, I'm not sure that angle analysis really even makes sense, because it really nothing we're doing is working consistently. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys joining in for week 5 of Inside the Coverage. We definitely have some broken up analysis where we take pieces of this and present it in a smaller form on my channel and on EA's. If you haven't, liked and commented on the video, please do so now, number 1. And number 2, please consider subscribing to both of our channels to support us in trying to produce as much content as possible in what continues to be a difficult season. Appreciate you guys' time.
Thanks, guys.